The following video is based on information from portals, reports, complaints, and testimonies. The dark side of delivery apps, a network of fraud, bots, and fear.
What began as a revolution for independent workers is now plagued by alleged fraud, exploitation, and broken promises. Uber, DoorDash, Spark, Amazon Flex, all of these platforms once offered flexibility and good earnings. But the current reality seems to be much darker, from the commercialization of fraudulent accounts to potential identity theft. The gig economy is in crisis, and honest drivers are paying the price.
The rise of delivery platforms, an unfulfilled promise.
Just over a decade ago, these platforms offered something novel: job flexibility and good earnings. The proposal seemed incredible. Being your own boss, working at your own pace, and earning a decent income. For some time, this promise was fulfilled. Drivers for Uber, DoorDash, Amazon, among others like Instacart and Shipt, were able to earn between $15 and $25 per hour before deducting operating costs. On average, they received around 70% of each trip or delivery, which allowed them to cover expenses such as fuel and maintenance, and still left a sufficient margin to live comfortably.
The change, more drivers, less income.
Everything began to change in 2019. Demand grew exponentially during the pandemic, and with more drivers on the platforms, fares started to decrease for passengers. However, it is reported that the costs have been transferred to the drivers, who now face commissions of up to 70% from the apps, leaving many with only a fraction of their previous earnings. This pattern has been repeated not only with drivers but also with small businesses that depend on these platforms. In a conversation with Flex, an entrepreneur who launched a cloud kitchen, he told me that the commissions were so high, almost 50%, that he was forced to close his restaurant. So I start with the first question: who wins in this equation?
The platform. Undoubtedly, the platform is the one that comes out on top, whether it is DoorDash, Sugar Eats, or Grubhub. The collapse of net profits.
For drivers, the effect was devastating. While they could previously earn between $15 and $25 per hour after deducting costs for gas, maintenance, and insurance, many ended up earning between $8 and $12 per hour. In DoorDash, for example, drivers earn a base pay. Payments range from $2 to $10 depending on various factors, but the reality is that it is rare to see base payments exceeding $3 per delivery, which means that drivers heavily rely on tips to reach a decent income. However, due to high service costs, many customers have stopped tipping or have reduced their tips, leaving drivers trapped in a daily struggle to earn enough. The rise of fraud, fake accounts, and bots has compounded the issue. In addition to financial problems, an even bigger issue has emerged: fraud. When I started my YouTube channel, Delivery TV, I began receiving reports about the use of bots that accepted orders faster than human drivers, giving certain drivers an advantage. This was compounded by the alleged sale of fake accounts in a black market that has grown exponentially. Allegedly, malicious actors have created a black market for fraudulent accounts using stolen identities of American citizens, sold by individuals in South American countries to distributors in the United States. These identity packs would be sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, which has severely affected legitimate drivers who have to compete against these accounts for work.
The trap in Amazon Flex and the manipulation of warehouses.
Amazon Flex has not escaped this problem either. Without the use of bots, it is practically impossible to obtain work blocks. Additionally, organized groups have taken control of many warehouses, where they decide who works and who does not. These groups, which often have colorful names like free money, intimidate drivers and in many cases distribute bots.
Internal complicity and organized scams.
The problem does not end with bots and fake accounts. Some reports suggest that employees within the platforms may be involved in the fraud. Just a few days ago, we learned about a fraud involving DoorDash for $1 million, where support agents were accomplices. In the case of Spark Driver, it has been reported that scammers exploit payment accounts from services like Branch and One to withdraw funds generated by fraudulent accounts, allowing withdrawals of up to $10,000 at stores like Walmart without requiring additional verifications removing branch or one as options in Spark and leaving only direct deposits to the personal accounts of drivers. It could help curb some of the fraud, as it is one of the main tools used by users of irregular accounts to withdraw money, but all these suggestions always fall on deaf ears.
Manipulation of verifications and forgery of documents.
In addition to the use of fraudulent accounts, scammers allegedly manipulate facial verification systems and forge documents. Testimonies have revealed that workers within Spark, specifically from the company DDI, are allegedly selling links for amounts ranging from $1,000 to $10,000 to hackers so they can change critical information such as social security numbers and driver's licenses. These links would allow for unlocking deactivated accounts or creating fraudulent accounts, which further exacerbates the situation. Friends from Spark, friends from DDI, of course I offer you your right to reply. Do you have anything to say?
Consequences of identity theft fraud.
The problem of identity theft has escalated so much that recently Business Insider revealed how people who have never worked for Uber or DoorDash received 1099 forms from the IRS for income they never earned. A particularly striking case is that of Brandon Emerson, who received a letter from the IRS stating that his wife owed $10,000 in taxes for earnings from dollars that she never received. This is not an isolated case. Faith Gardner from Richmond, California, received forms totaling $66,000 in income from DoorDash, despite never having worked for the company. The sale of stolen identities is just one part of a much larger scheme that would be affecting thousands of American citizens.
The case of Priscilla Barbosa, the queen of the rideshare mafia.
Another notable case was covered by Wire, where Priscilla Barbosa was accused of generating over $780,000 through the creation and rental of approximately $2,000 fake accounts on platforms like Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, and Instacart. Barbosa, known as the Pi Queen of the rideshare mafia, operated a fraud network that allowed her to make large profits using stolen identities and fraudulent accounts. Adding Barbosa's fraud of over $780,000 reported by Wire and the $1 million fraud in Dorda revealed by 404 and CourtWatch, it amounts to almost $2 million, and this is just the tip of the iceberg.
The fear and insecurity of honest drivers.
This climate has created an atmosphere of distrust among legitimate drivers who fear reporting due to the risk of being intentionally disconnected or facing retaliation. The informants assert that those involved in the fraud are not usually violent, but the high level of money at stake could generate risks.
A broken system that needs to be corrected.
Today, what was once an innovative solution for flexible work has become a system plagued by corruption and alleged fraud. Drivers no longer trust the platforms that once promised so much. Although there are those who manage to make a living, the barriers continue to grow. The story of gig economy platforms is a story of broken promises, of opportunities turned into traps, and of a system that, if not corrected, continues to allow the alleged corruption to grow unchecked. My name is Luis Berti. Here I leave you a related video. And if you like this, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel.